Hello everyone, I'm Grace. Welcome to my channel, The Blooming Notice in Paramita. Today we are going to talk about approving of and rejoicing the merits and virtue from others. Approving of and rejoicing means that seeing others doing good, our body and mind want to follow and then feel happy. That is, follow others' good and kind behaviors, and happy for their success in merits and virtue. While approving of and rejoicing the merits and the virtue from others means that with what you see, what you hear, all people who have done good deeds, regardless of major or tiny thing, we can respond and praise with joy. It sounds like a super easy thing, right? And it doesn't require you to spend any money or to go anywhere. You do not even have to change your current pose. You can rejoice others' merits and virtue. However, approving of and rejoicing others' virtue is not as easy as simply saying, I approve with and rejoice your merit and virtue. When we say it, how many percentages are rejoicing, how many percentages are jealous, and how many percentages are because of we don't want to be rude. We may all experience those situations before. Talking about the approving of rejoicing the merits and the virtue from others, we have to come through the 10 vows of the Bodhisattva Samantabhadra. He made the approving of and rejoicing the merits and the virtue as his 5th great vow. He said, O noble-minded man, what is the meant by approving of and rejoicing at the merits and the virtue of others? In Buddha lands, the Buddhas equal in number to the smallest dust mote of all the worlds, throughout all the Dharma cycles and cosmic world, of the 10 directions and the 3 periods of time, have devoted their lives to the sole purpose of acquiring all wisdom and diligent accumulating merit since they began to direct their minds towards body. Throughout the duration of unutterable and innumerable kalpas, and in Buddha domains equal in number to the smallest dust motes of all worlds, during each kalpa having sacrificed their heads, their eyes, their hands, and feet, in unutterable and incalculable numbers as smallest dust motes of Buddha spheres, having thus overcome all the difficulties and accomplished all the agile tasks, perfected the various stages of paramita, passing through the experiences of Bodhisattva wisdom and accomplished the highest body of Buddha, they are entered into whereupon they distribute the sarilas. All such good roots of merits and virtue I emulate and rejoice in. Moreover, whatever merit or virtue may be possessed by any being, either by 6 divisions of existence or belongings to the 4 kinds of birth or apparenting to any species of life in the worlds of 10 directions, though such merit may be as tiny as a grain of dust, all will have my sympathy and corresponding regard. With all such I rejoice. Again, all Savakas and Pariyatti Buddhas, the thoroughly learned ones, and those who are still to be advanced on the path of disciplines, all such are the saints of the 10 directions and the 3 periods of the time, with whom I rejoiced in the merit, if any may be possessed, all the Bodhisattvas who, through infinite self-sacrifice, abundance, achievement, have overcome all obstacles, and having formed the wish to attain the highest goal of the body, with them I also rejoice in their vast merits and virtue. Thus, even though the void of space, together with states of beings, with the karmas of beings, with the sorrows of beings, though all those will be ended, yet my approval and joy with the merits of all beings will not end it. Thought succeeding thought, without interruption in bodily, vocally, and mental deeds, without weariness. Firstly, let's see the space that Bodhisattva Samantabhadra rejoiced. He said, in Buddha's land, and Buddhas equal in numbers to the smallest dust motes of all the worlds, throughout all the Dharma cycles, and even cosmic void. Then the subjects of his rejoicing are the beings of 6 realms, all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and Arahants. Lastly, he said something about rejoicing that we can see the time mentioned. What he emphasized here is 10 directions and 3 periods of the time. What we can see here is Bodhisattva Samantabhadra is not concerned about the tiny things such as I bought a house, or I donated some money to a temple. He cares about the Buddha land, the Buddha world. He cares about in number to the smallest dust motes of all the worlds. Throughout all the Dharma cycles and cosmic void, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Palayati Buddhas, and all beings from 6 realms, even a dust. In other words, if Bodhisattva Samantabhadra is having a cup of tea with us in the same room, he knows that his world is more than this room, and more than the Saha world, more than the people and beings that he saw here and there. He realized the endless world and the endlessness of the time. For instance, a little child may be unhappy and cry when he saw his candy smaller than others. However, when we grow up, we find that our friend have a fancy bag. We won't cry anymore, because we know that our world is more than that handbag or more than that candy. We call this horizon. If we have an open-minded mind, we will know that all the beings of the Dharma realm, the void realm, and all the other worlds, Arahant, Bodhisattvas, and the Buddhas have the immense merits and virtue. Every merit has a significant story that can shock us. When we understand that, even we built a splendid city and offered to the Buddha, we probably won't think that our merits and virtue are tremendous. When we see others doing good, we will feel happy for them and would like to see them achieve a higher realm. At the same time, Bodhisattva Samantabhatra not only noticed the being of advanced level such as Arahat, Bodhisattvas, and Buddhas. He also has seen 6 realms, all kinds of beings, even a Da's merit. I mean, he is already a Bodhisattva, right? How amazing his merit would be. He is still admiring a slight Da's merit. Why is this? Firstly, the Bodhisattva doesn't have any self-ego, which means he won't think that everyone is not as good as me, or hope that people could not transcend any merits and virtue from me. He tolerates and accepts all beings without comparing and judging, so that he won't have any afflictions. Moreover, Bodhisattva Samantabhatra understands that all the science beings have the same wisdom and nature as the Buddha. Only because of our delusions and obsessions that we cannot attain the enlightenment. This original wisdom and self-nature are indistinguishable, and the merits may vary in every living being. However, Bodhisattva Samantabhatra also emphasized the timelines, that is, the past, the present, and the future, 3 periods of the time. Even if a being who is living in the hungry ghost realm or in the hell, those who have been overwhelmed now, his self-nature is no different from ours or Buddha's, and he will become a Buddha someday. The merits and the virtue that he will attain in the future will be tremendous, will be beyond our imaginations. How can we dismiss it? In the end, I want to talk about approving of and rejoicing the merits and the virtue from others from the perspective of human nature or psychology. I remember that we have discussed something similar before. Why it is so difficult for us to admit that others' good deeds and give a positive recommend. The psychological period told us it is because of our subconscious mind has a typical logic, which is the pattern of all sentient beings before our enlightenment, which is the good or perfect could have only one. If we admit that others are good, it means that we are not good enough. At the same time, we couldn't have a proper self-affirmation, so that at least when we are not affirming others, we can maintain an illusion of I'm good. This is the simple theory of our selfish and jealousy. It is actually the difficulty of the rejoicing and merits and virtue from others. When the powerful ego in our hearts mastered, we could not see the merits and the virtue from others. We could not find our deficiency neither. Sincerely reciting the name of Buddha, reciting the sutras and mantras. When the water in our heart becomes clear, we can see the moon in the water. we will realize that there were so many bright and beautiful things wait for us to affirm, to be joyful for them, and to be happy by seeing their success and achievement. Speaking of this, I believe that Dharma itself actually doesn't change anything but our minds. A tiny change in our mind, everything changes in the world. This is the miracle of the Buddhism Dharma, and this is the way how Dharma changed the world. Approving and rejoicing the merits and the virtue from others is a crucial practice of Buddhism cultivation. Through practice over and over again, it can not only help us expand our horizon, but also removes the stinger of self-ego in our heart, help us purify, accent, and move forward in the cultivations. Now, let's take a deep breath and start to approve with and rejoice the merits and the virtue from others. Thank you so much for your listening. I'm Grace. If you like my channel or video, you can subscribe it or give me a like. I'll see you next week. Bye.